Hey guys, happy hump day. Hump day. Sorry, I had to. I had to. Um, so I am going to talk about my college experience today. My buddy Josh asked me what what ways my disability and my trans identity affected and or altered my experience at college. Pretty cool question, I think. Um, let's see, how do I start this? I'd say, probably there were a couple big things that stick out the most. I went to two different universities. I went to the University of New Hampshire for 2.5 years, and I went to the University of Southern Maine for 3.5 years, which is where I graduated from eventually. Took me 10 years to get through school, which is another story in itself, but at least I did it. I think I guess I'll start with the stuff that I can think of that was a challenge. Something that comes to mind is when dealing with teachers and professors as far as my whatever accommodations or modifications that I may have needed for to be able to succeed in schools as well as I could. Now I'm all some might argue differently, but I'm all cognitively intact up there. So my modifications were more due to time limits and having a scribe, someone to write for me, and things like that. And obviously, for the most part, that was okay because they really can't be jerks about it. It's especially when you go through the Office of Supports to Students with Disabilities and you have your forms that say what your needs are. They can't do much about it. But there's always some of those professors who are really combative when it comes to accommodations, and I'm not really sure what that's about. I don't know. For some, I think maybe it's that they are so stuck in their ways, as how they've taught for so long. Uh, Maybe some it's just with a lot of things where people aren't comfortable is the fear of the unknown. How do you deal with someone who has these specific needs when you've never dealt with it before? Um, it's mostly just a general uncomfortableness that I thought, but there was one teacher, one professor in particular, who put up a really big stink when I needed someone to help me scribe for my tests, and she was upset about where I was doing it and who was doing it and how much time I had and all this stuff, and to me I was like, don't you want me to be able to give you my best um, answers and my best, do my best, period. And I can't do that if I'm trying to, back then I could write myself, but it would take forever. And it would just be frustrating, and I wouldn't be able to, get out what I wanted to say because I'd be limited by time. Um, another obstacle I came across in college was probably dealing with living situations and whatnot. For the most part, I was really lucky, and the university has to accommodate you with what you need. When I went to the University of Southern Maine in Portland, they had to spend a bunch of money to build me a bathroom because there wasn't one in the room that they were going to put me in. I mean, an accessible bathroom. And there was a whole fight with the school about that. And, to me, these are things that seem like such, simple, basic needs that any, student should be able to benefit from without there being a stink. And you should have seen it when I wanted to to do some work study hours at my dorm. During the summer, if you worked, I think it was minimum of 12 hours, you got to live in the dorm for free. So I was like, hell yeah. So applied to work for the front desk, and they were like freaking out, not really sure what to do for me, how to make it work. And all it took was some conversation and some, brainstorming. And I did my job just fine. And I worked 2 or 3 summers, I can't remember, there. And, a lot of times with these things, if we just make conversation instead of being scared and not talking about the things that that are a little bit harder to navigate. Um, it's just more simple to do that. Just have discussion. I believe that in many things. I mean, maybe that sounds a little cheese. I love to say that word, don't I? But being honest and open to discussion is the way to get through anything. Like keeping things inside, it just doesn't work. I've learned that the hard way, and I know obviously I'm not the only one, but just be um, open and honest about what you need, and that's really the best way to be advocated for when you're in a university setting, is just advocate for yourself. Like I mentioned, there are places like the certain offices that help students who have disabilities, um, and there are certain laws and rules in place as far as what accommodations you're required to be able to have access to and whatnot. But when it comes to um, getting what you need for your best experience, you have to self-advocate. And being your own advocate, especially when you're someone who has a disability, or you're someone who has certain differences about them or identities or whatnot, really even being your best own self-advocate at all, no matter who you are, is the best way to get what you need for yourself. Get it out there, say what you need, speak it, voice it, and you'll get the ball rolling. And then I guess I'll just say a couple things about ways in university life really um, impacted me in positive ways or ways of growth. Um, I'm so glad that I was able to go. I'm so glad that I was able to live away from home. And I mean, I've been living on my own since I was 18, essentially. But I mean, being in the dorm and doing what all these other kids my age did, and it was such a good experience. And being able to participate in all the activities of dorm life was huge growth time, period of growth for me, because I was very much in my shell and not being who I was at all, and being able to figure out ways to make um, my life comfortable at the universities with my personal care programs and whatever kind of equipments I needed, and bigger dorm rooms, like giving me a triple to myself because of my equipment and my lift and my bed and all those kinds of things, were all ways that they work to help me feel at home and comfortable and to be able to succeed my best. And um, like I said, I'm very thankful that I went to school, because there were times definitely where I was like, I am over this.com, which is why it took me so long to get my degree. But as far as teaching me a lot, like being out on my own and having to be, again, my own self advocate, um, taught me how to, express what I need for myself and how to be happy and healthy. And again, just voicing what you need is just the best way to do it. And to stick with your guns. Like, you know, don't give up because it's not easy, or because it's simpler to just take the simpler way. But that was kind of redundant. You know what I mean? So yeah, overall, there were some challenges with going to school. There was some, issues with closed-mindedness around um, mostly my disability. With any kind of trans identity stuff, I felt pretty pretty comfortable, pretty accepted by my teachers. And again, that could have been probably, it was probably due to location. In the University of Southern Maine in Portland, there was a lot of queer identified students and people who are out and people who use different pronouns and whatnot, which was very helpful in my own um, comfort level, in my own discovery, in my own growth, in my own identity. I just said own a lot. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's more I could say about that. I mean, school took up 10 years of my life. So, in a good way. I mean, so, if you have questions about this, more specifically that you can think of, I would love to answer them. I know that there's much more that I could say about it. But like I said, it was such a big part of me that it's hard to kind of hone in on um, what exactly were the key points. But I hope what I brought up was helpful. Um, so we're gonna go, and hope you guys are doing well. Peace, love, and I'll talk to you next time.